Okay, so here we are live once again with another DC Multiverse unboxing, and this is the McFarlane Toys Digital Monarch from DC Countdown. Monarch would have first appeared during the Armageddon 2001 storyline, which was published back in the 1990s, and at that time 2001 would have been the future. Anyway, as we all know, Monarch is the arch nemesis of Dr. Thaddeus Rusty Venture, who, along with his significant other, Sheila, Dr. Girlfriend, later to become Dr. and Mrs. the Monarch when they get married. They live in a giant cocoon and have an army full of henchmen. And, Malcolm believes that monarch butterflies are somehow deadly. So he's based his entire identity around monarch butterflies. Oh, wait, that's a completely different Monarch. I'm sorry. Got thrown off a little bit there. No, Monarch, like I said, introduced in the Armageddon 2001 miniseries. The gimmick of this character was that he was supposed to be a DC superhero who went bad and killed all the other superheroes and became a villainous tyrant and conquered the entire world. And there is some controversy behind their true identity of the monarch, and that's because originally the idea is that this character was going to be one of the then current DC heroes, but he was going to become a villain, and he was permanently going to stay a villain after this storyline. He would have remained the monarch. But what wound up happening was the character that was originally intended to be Monarch was infamously Captain Atom, but that information got leaked, and once it got spoiled, the people at DC just made a last minute change and decided it was going to be Hank Hall, aka Hawk of Hawk and Dove, which didn't make a whole lot of sense because you can't honestly, like, he's probably the superhero that might have made the least sense because, like, Monarch was just like an intelligent, very what's the word that strategic kind of character, and Hank Hall is anything but. And of course, like I said, the original idea was it was going to be Captain Atom, which he's a military guy. That makes a little more sense. And there were some clues in the storyline that pointed that like it might have been Captain Atom, but it wound up getting thrown off like entirely when they decided to retcon it so that he was now a completely different character. Yeah, so this says I never really noticed this before. Step into the world of McFarlane Toys Digital. Collect your favorite figures that include this logo and use the enclosed code to redeem for your exclusive digital collectible. It's an NFT, folks. So whatever that is, I still don't understand what an NFT is. Please don't bother to explain it to me in the comments. I won't understand it anyway. I'm old and just it doesn't make any sense to me. So and it's got a little QR code there that you can scan for more information. Whatever. There's a piece of artwork on the back. I think it's from the Countdown series. I don't remember a whole lot of Countdown. I've mostly blocked it out of my memory. Lone Dragon is here and says, Monarch, did you get Dr. Girlfriend too? Oh man, you missed where I made the Venture Brothers joke. But hey, if McFarlane wants to pick up the rights to do Venture Brothers, I would totally buy Malcolm and Sheila. I love those guys, or those two, because Sheila's all woman. So anyway, let's go ahead and open them up. And like I'd mentioned before, this figure is kind of the odd one out because it's other than that, it's an all Batman wave. We had the Stephanie Brown Batgirl, we had the No Man's Land Batman. Of course, we've got Nightwing. That's the one I'm saving for last. So that'll be the next episode. Here's the figure stand, the McFarlane Toys digital figure stand with a picture of Spawn on it, which I don't think should be on a DC characters stand, but whatever. Let's go ahead and read the trading card. Same piece of artwork that we saw on the other one, and then we have the card to redeem your NFT. Set that aside, And there's what the back of the trading card looks like. And it reads McFarlane Toys Digital, Monarch, real name Nathaniel Adam. So now they got him back to being Captain Adam. Nate Adam becomes the new incarnation of his main adversary, Monarch. He recruits an army to battle the Monitors, but is successfully opposed by a team of alternate Captain Adams. That's a very, very simplified version, I believe, of what actually happens with Captain Adam and Monarch in that series, but that's probably for the best. It's probably a little complicated to get into, but I'll get into it a little bit. So basically, there was like a quantum duplicate of Captain Adam at some point, and that one became Monarch. I believe that was during the 1990s, and then Captain Adam himself finally became Monarch during the Countdown series. And that didn't last too long. He's not Monarch anymore. I don't know if that lasted until New 52 or not, but yeah. So here's my idea as to maybe why this actually could fit in with being a Batman character. And it's a crazy idea. And I'm gonna go ahead and say this just for a disclaimer. I am not saying this was ever the intention behind this character. And in fact, I'm saying vehemently, it was not the original intention behind this character. But I do think it would be an interesting quirk, an interesting thing to throw into it. So Captain Atom is a super powered guy. He doesn't really need a high tech suit of armor, so that's not really necessary. Uh, he could have just been Captain Atom. Really, the reason that this character's identity would have been a secret at all is because, the story purposes. It was a mystery who Monarch really was. So that's why, obviously big secret. Couldn't have been Hawk. Hawk isn't a strategist. Can you see Hawk coming up with a plan to destroy all the other DC superheroes? I certainly can't. Maybe Captain Atom could do it, but like I said, he wouldn't really need high tech armor, would he? This guy's almost kind of like a DC version of Doctor Doom. But who is a brilliant master strategist who could and has come up with various plans to defeat all the other DC superheroes if he had to do it. A guy who is famous for wearing a blue, black, and yellow and gray costume. I'm just saying, what if the original version of Monarch actually was Bruce Wayne? We know that Bruce wasn't in the best headspace when Jason Todd died. And then Tim Drake came along and gave him another anchor, another reason to have some responsibility to not be reckless. What if Tim was killed unexpectedly, and then he'd lost two sidekicks, two surrogate sons in a row, and it was the sort of thing that drove Bruce Wayne over the edge, so that he decided he had to have that kind of control, that he had to force the world to make sense. Uh, uh, Maybe it's a little bit of a stretch. Maybe it's just a little bit of a stretch. But what if Bruce Wayne was the original timeline's Monarch, and it was the quantum experiments that wound up throwing the timeline off and making it so that Nathaniel Adam became Monarch instead. And then, of course, when Wave Rider went back in time, he screwed everything up and made it so Hank Hall became Monarch. But these are basically just, they're just kind of figures that are filling the void. Is like, Spock said, like, there's a logic to believing that time consists of like rivers and eddies, and they all flow to the same force or the same source or whatever. So yeah, what if what if when it became an impossibility that Bruce Wayne should become Monarch, then say Nathaniel Adam or Hank Hall winds up filling in that role? It's something to think about. It would be something to make it a little more interesting. I think is like, and who knows? Maybe there's other realities where like maybe Barry Allen didn't die and he became Monarch, or Hal Jordan, instead of becoming Parallax, became Monarch, or maybe this armor is so bulky that's Diana Prince under all that, or who knows? It could go any which way. But let's go ahead and talk about the articulation. So Monarch, I think, can probably look up higher than what I'm. Yeah, you look up about that high. Look down, not very far because his chin kind of bumps into the armor. Tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side. Rotate the head all the way around. Oh, but it bumps into that neck piece. This God, what do they call that piece on armor? I forget. There's a technical term for it. But yeah, his head does kind of bump into it a little bit. It looks almost as if like he's got like the way it's sculpted, that this is supposed to be like a fabric mask, but I always saw this as being like a full helmet. But it almost looks like he's got a blue spandex fabric mask with this kind of gold crown headpiece over it with the chin strap and everything. It's a really cool design. I always really liked the design of Monarch. Dan Jurgens came up with that. I believe he created this character. I think Archie Goodwin and Dennis O'Neil had a hand in it too. But I think it was mostly Dan Jurgens' baby. Anyway, arms rotate all the way around to the shoulders. Of course, he's got this shoulder armor piece. It's going to kind of bump into that a little bit. He does have that butterfly joint, so you get some wiggle room there. Of course, the arms rotate all around the bicep. He's got double jointed elbows. That's about the range of motion you get at the elbows. He does have like these really bulky gauntlets on his arms, so it's going to kind of bump into that. I'm thinking in the original comic that these were all supposed to be gray or gold or some other color that's not the same blue as his sleeve, but I could be mistaken about that. He's got the cool Mcfarlane torso articulation, so it rotates all the way around where the rib cage meets the abs and where the abs meet the belt. And of course, you can tilt it from side to side about that far, back about that far, forward about that far, get a lot of good dramatic poses out of him. Monarch can kick up about that far, which is pretty good considering how he's got this rubber skirt piece that gets in the way. And there's a little bit of wobble here, maybe even a little bit more than most figures. It's not a full rotation, but you can rotate it a little bit. He's got double jointed knees. That's about the range of motion you get at the knees. No boot cut. But he does have the cool Mcfarlane ankle articulation? Well, kinda, but these boots are so bulky, it's going to interfere with that somewhat. But you can still get enough side to side movement out of it that you can still get his feet to pose fairly well, I think. And then he's got toe articulation just to show off. It doesn't even really do that much good, again, just because his boots are so bulky. But he's a cool looking figure. Didn't come with any accessories to speak of whatsoever. And Monarch is a villain that I kind of feel like had a lot of great potential and could have been a really great DC supervillain. But unfortunately, like I kind of feel like they screwed the pooch with the whole Hank Hall thing. If they had left him as being Captain Atom, I think this character probably would have been a lot stronger and probably could have been used a lot more often. Now, granted, I don't think it would have, even though it was supposed to be a permanent change, I don't think it would have lasted that Captain Atom would have stayed a villain. I think that that's a character with too much potential. And while he might not have like as huge a fan base as somebody like Superman or Batman, there is still a pretty loyal fan base to not only Captain Atom, but all the Charlton characters in general. So I think eventually we would have seen the return of a heroic Captain Atom, but they always could have taken Monarch and done him as being like an alternate universe version of Nathaniel Atom, which of course, he basically was with the quantum clone thing. But in a multiverse, yeah, you could have the Monarch universe be like a separate universe where Captain Atom did become a bad guy and actually did kill off all the other superheroes. He's a character that's believable to do that, whereas Hawk maybe not. But yeah, Captain Atom is a strategic guy, so I can see him outsmarting some other superheroes. And he's a very powerful character. He's like on a Superman sort of level. Like if there was a character that could kill Superman, Captain Atom could probably do it. So I mean, like he probably wouldn't, but he could. You know what I'm saying? Like it's feasible. Could I see Captain Atom killing Superman? Maybe. Could I see Hawk killing Superman? Anyway, DC kind of figured out that, like I said, doing the whole Hawk thing was a bad call. So not only did they make it so that basically Monarch was Captain Atom again, but they also just kind of took Hawk and turned him into a completely different villain with Extant. And eventually Hawk went back to being a good guy, I think. So I think he still is today. That's probably what makes the most sense for him. Let's not have Hawk be a bad guy at all. Like he's just a hot-headed, thick-headed, guy. Like that's I can't really see him going evil, honestly. So if he was going to go evil, he would have already. But he's a pretty cool figure and only kind of Batman adjacent. So that means he's the only real non-Batman character in this wave. So, and also since he's the most obscure character in this wave, I figure he's probably the one most likely to peg warm. So if you haven't already got these figures and you're kind of thinking about getting them, I'd probably wait on him a minute. He's probably one that's gonna be available for cheap. Now I got him in the full set from Mcfarlane Toys, and I still feel like I saved a little bit of money on that. So I don't feel too bad about that at all. But I mean, if you want all four of those figures, that was probably the best way to do it. I don't know if that's still available on their site or not, but it's probably worth checking if you're interested. Anyway, speaking of that wave of figures, my next episode, I'll be opening up the Nightwing figure from that wave, which is the first appearance of Nightwing, his original costume. Very excited about that. And hopefully, sometime next week, I'll be getting in the next wave of the standard multiverse figures, which includes Troika Batman and Asbats in the red, black, and gold outfit. But even if I don't, I got a lot of other cool Batman stuff to go over here. Oh, and Batwing. I got to open up Batwing. A lot of cool stuff. So we got the Clock King, who really isn't a Batman villain, but we're going to get into that. But he's still kind of at least slightly Batman adjacent. Got this barbarian type Batgirl figure. That's going to be interesting to talk about. Got, of course, the year 2 Batman. Got a lot of cool stuff. We made it through a lot of our Batman so far. And then we've got so much more DC stuff to go over. Oh, yeah, and the Future State Batman. I got him still back there to open up. I'm probably going to open him up after I open up, or before. Maybe I'll do that before I open up Batwing, because those characters are kind of connected together. But yeah, and I still got that Animal Man over there I got to open up. We got a ton more DC Multiverse stuff, so don't worry. There's plenty of that. So anyway, if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. YouTube likes it when I say like and subscribe, so I try to say it a lot. Oh, and I've got this Orion figure I've had sitting over here on the couch for a while. He's one I'm definitely going to have to open up. Like I say, I got a ton of cool stuff, so we got it all coming up. But yeah, like, subscribe, leave a comment, all that fun stuff. YouTube likes it when you like and subscribe. They like it when I say like and subscribe, because it encourages more people to like and subscribe, and that's good for the algorithm. YouTube likes it when more people like and subscribe, and they like it when I say like and subscribe, so I tend to say it a lot. I've noticed the more that I say like and subscribe, the more I'm starting to see an uptick in my my subscribers and my views and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to keep saying like and subscribe. I'm going to say it a lot. So, but anyway, that's it from Monarch. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about Monarch, both this figure specifically and the character in general, and any fan theories or ideas you might have about Monarch. I'll be interested to hear that. So we'll talk to you next time. Bye.